there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the listen. And hopefully with this episode will help you out in your upcoming fantasy drafts. As we continue our team reviews, today we're going to look at the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to look at their goaltending tandem, their defensive pairings, their forward lines, etc. See who has some fantasy value for you. We'll look at the depth chart according to dailyfaceoff.com. Really do find them the most accurate. Especially during the regular season there. So we'll get right into her. The goaltending tandem in Edmonton should be Jack Campbell, new goalie there, and Stuart Skinner. Campbell, he's 30 years old, signed that contract in the offseason. Last year in Toronto, he had 49 games played, 31 wins, 9 losses, 6 overtime losses. Had 5 shutouts, 2.64 goals against average, and a .914 save percentage. Playing in Edmonton this year, it should be fairly similar in a sense. Like, he did have some little lapses there, but Toronto was a team that could outscore their mistakes. Very similar in Edmonton in a sense. Maybe not quite the defensive depth. Well, mind you, their defense is a lot better this year for the whole season. So I do see him being quite fantasy relevant, actually, as long as he doesn't get injured, knock on wood. But yeah, I don't see any reason why not to draft him. Would he be one of the top 5 goalies for me? No, but he's probably in the top 10 this year because I do see Edmonton having a fairly strong season and battling it out with Calgary for top of the Pacific. Maybe if Vegas gets their S together. Mind you, they've lost some players. Should be a decent battle up atop that division there. Stuart Skinner, young goalie, 23 years old. Got into 13 games last year with 6 wins, 6 losses, no overtime losses. Did have 1 shutout, 2.62 goals against average, and .913 save percentage. Really good stats for being up in the show. Really probably would have got a longer look if they didn't have Smith and Koskinen. But even when he was in the AHL, he was really, really solid stats up there. Am I drafting him? No, because obviously Campbell's going to get the majority of the starts there. But on a light night, if you do play that rotating goalie strategy and you know Skinner's going to start, it'd be a decent pickup for you. Moving along to defensemen, top pairing is the same, Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci. Darnell Nurse, he should be on the top PK unit, 27 years old. Not listed on a power play unit, but he will get some power play time throughout the season. Last year, 71 games played, had 9 goals, 26 assists for 35 points. He was battling through injuries quite a bit. That was really relevant in the playoffs, so it dipped down a bit, but still half point per game. 6 power play points through 196 hits, 132 blocks, and 203 shots on goal. So he's definitely relevant because he's a well-rounded player and his offense is all right. So he's definitely worth taking in a fantasy draft. How high you take him, hard to say, but realistically, you can't go wrong with drafting him. You will get value out of him. Cody Ceci, he should be on the top PK unit. He's 28 years old, played 78 games last year, had 5 goals, 23 assists for 28 points. So not bad production, but it's definitely not great. So probably I wouldn't draft him, but he might be streaming if it's like a 1 or 2 game night and Edmonton's one of the teams playing. Through 117 hits, 121 blocks, and 102 shots on goal. Their second pairing is Brett Kulak and Evan Bouchard. Now, Kulak they get for the full season this year. He should be on the second PK. He's 28 years old. Got into 74 games last year. 5 goals, 16 assists for 21 points. 103 hits, 63 blocks, and 92 shots on goal. Am I drafting him? No. Would I love to have him on my team? Yes. He's not going to have very much fantasy value for you, but as a fan of the Oilers, I really do like that they re-signed him there. But in your draft, leave him alone. Evan Bouchard, he should be on the second power play unit, second PK unit. Might even get some top power play time depending what happens with Barrie. He's 22 years old, really young defenseman. Really kind of took off last year, so yes, he will be fantasy relevant. 81 games played, he had 12 goals, 31 assists for 43 points. 7 of them on the power play, through 80 hits, 112 blocks, and 205 shots on goal. So really stepped up last year. Do expect those numbers to improve a bit this year. Third pairing should be Philip Broberg and Tyson Barrie. Now Broberg, he's only 21 years old. Last year got into 23 games played, had 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Had 10 hits in those games, 10 blocks, 29 shots on goal. If I'm in a keeper league, just because he did really, really well in the AHL last year, might be somebody I have as a prospect, but realistically, leave him alone in your fantasy drafts this year because he's going to be buried behind Nurse, Bouchard, and Barrie for really any prime offensive times there. Now, Tyson Barrie, he should be on the top power play unit, 31 years old. Last year, 73 games played. He had 7 goals, 34 assists for 41 points. So it's low by his standards, but on a point-per-game basis, he led the Oil on defensive scoring there. So he will be fantasy relevant again, especially with that power play. 21 of those points were on the power play, so half his production there. 27 hits, 73 blocks, and 149 shots on goal. Moving along to forwards, their top line is going to be Zach Hyman, Connor McDavid, and Evander Kane. Hyman coming over from Toronto, he definitely impressed, especially in the playoffs there. He should be on the top power play unit and top PK unit this year. He started out on the second power play unit, and obviously with how well he did get bumped up there. He's 30 years old, 76 games played. He had 27 goals, 27 assists for 54 points. He should be right around that mark again, so he will be relevant fantasy-wise. Definitely later on rounds. I'm not telling you to take him in the first 3-4 rounds there, but he will be fantasy relevant as long as you slot him in the right place to draft him. 10 power play points, 74 hits, 31 blocks, 213 shots on goal. Next one's Connor McDavid, and he's awesome to watch, and obviously he'll be first, maybe second in some drafts. Thank him. If you got the number 2 pick and he falls to you, thank the guy that drafted first. But top power play unit, 25 years old, 80 games played. He had 44 goals, 79 assists for 123 points, 44 power play points, 75 hits. So he's starting to throw the body around, 26 blocks, and 314 shots on goal. So shot the puck a ton there. Next one's Evander Kane. Should be on the second PP unit. He's 31 years old. And man, after he signed with Edmonton, did he ever gel with McDavid? And now they got a full season of them together. 43 games played. He had 22 goals, 17 assists for 39 points. So on pace for 40 goals over a full 82. And right around that 80-point mark. He'll definitely be relevant. Of course he will be. 4 power play points, 135 hits, 11 blocks, and 152 shots on goal. That's, of course, depending how that grievance works out with San Jose, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm assuming he'll be in Edmonton either way, whatever way that turns out, because San Jose doesn't want him. But, yeah, definitely take him in your draft there. Second line will be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, and Kyler Yamamoto. Now, Nuge, he should be on the top power play unit, top PK unit. He's 29 years old. Obviously fantasy relevant when he's playing those kind of minutes there. 63 games played. Only 11 goals, 39 assists, so 50 points in 63 games. So you're looking at about the 60 to 65 points. He could even improve on that because it took him forever to score a goal last year. 23 power play points, 42 hits, 34 blocks, 154 shots on goal. Next one's Leon Draisaitl. He should be on the top power play unit, 26 years old. Obviously draft him, he's going to be a top 5 pick, I'm assuming, in almost every draft out there. 80 games played, he had 55 goals, 55 assists for 110 points, 41 power play points, 53 hits, 25 blocks, 278 shots on goal. Last one's Kyler Yamamoto. He should be on the second power play unit, 23 years old. He had 81 games played last year, 20 goal man, 20 goals, 21 assists for 41 points. Is that enough to get him drafted? He should improve on those numbers. I'm just not 100% sure if he'll get drafted in a lot of leagues, but he'd be a very good streamer for you if he is available. 6 power play points, 114 hits, 36 blocks, and 114 shots on goal. So, depending how many teams are in your league, how many players you get drafted, he might be drafted in the late rounds. If not, do pick him up on off nights and stream him that way, because you will find some value for you. Third line will be Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, Warren Foegele, he's 26 years old. Honestly, probably not drafting him because he had a very down year this year. 82 games played. He had 12 goals, 14 assists for 26 points. So pretty ugly. 3 power play points, 127 hits, 15 blocks, 142 shots on goal. Realistically, leave him alone. You'll find a lot better options out there for you on your fantasy roster. Centerman Ryan McLeod, he should be on the second PP unit. He's only 22 years old. Last year, 71 games played, 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points. He should improve on those numbers, but enough to draft him or even stream him? Probably not. I'm leaving him alone, to be honest. 5 power play points, 28 hits, 25 blocks, 82 shots on goal. And the last one, Jesse Puljujarvi, second power play unit, 24 years old. Now, what Puljujarvi are you going to get this year? Are you going to get the one from the first 35 games or the one the rest of the season there? He's just too streaky, too take in a draft as far as I'm concerned. Do watch him though, because he is streaky where you might be able to pick him up and get some value. But if he gets into a rut, drop him, or try and trade him. Literally try and trade him first, see if you can get some value out of him. If that doesn't work, drop him quick. But 65 games played, he had 14 goals, 22 assists for 36 points. So not bad. He's right around half point per game. But when he's really good, he's good. If he's cold, he's super cold. 7 power play points, 81 hits, 15 blocks, 160 shots on goal. Yeah, speaking of Puljujarvi, I just wish, as an Edmonton fan, can you decide, are you going to be a top 6 forward or are you going to be a third line forward? That way you can kind of gauge there, because he shows you glimmers and then nothing. So realistically, I'm leaving him alone just because of the frustration factor of watching him play, because I catch most of the Oilers games. Fourth line is Matthias Janmark, Derek Ryan, and Devin Shore. Realistically, fourth lines, there's not going to be a lot of value there, but we'll go through them anyways. Matthias Janmark, newly signed there. Second PK unit, 29 years old. 67 games played. He had 9 goals, 16 assists for 25 points. 19 hits, 28 blocks, 89 shots on goal. Realistically, no value there. As I said, leave him alone. Derek Ryan, he's one I like to watch, but you don't need him on your fantasy roster there. Second PK, 35 years old, 75 games played. He had 10 goals, 12 assists for 22 points, 38 hits, 38 blocks, 72 shots on goal. Perfect fourth liner, no fantasy value. Devin Shore, he's 28 years old. He got into 49 games last year. He had 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points. One of them was a really big goal, but honestly, leave him alone. 67 hits, 21 blocks, 36 shots on goal. Overall, Edmonton has a lot of high-end talent there. There will be quite a few players plucked in your fantasy drafts. Just make sure you don't take some of them too early, like I mentioned, like a Yamamoto. I'd probably leave him off, etc. But you can't go wrong because they're going to score a bunch this year. Really do hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did and you're watching via YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, depending what platform you're on, as we're always trying to help you out with your future drafts or during the season. Because after these previews are done, we're going to be getting into our top forwards, top goalies, top D-men for the drafts. We're Going to look at some sleepers. And then, of course, during the regular season, we have 3 episodes that come out every week, helping to get you those wins in your fantasy leagues. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the fantasy offseason. Good luck in your fantasy drafts, and we'll talk to you soon there, fantasy owners.